Emergency, emergency. Does your Airbnb need CPR? Today, we are going to break down the one number that every host must know, and that is their cost per reservation, aka CPR.
Many hosts set their pricing and adjust their pricing based on gut feelings. But knowing your cost per reservation will help you price more confidently and help you ensure profits.
Hi, I'm Sarah Karakayan.
And I'm Annette Grant. And together we are
Thanks for visiting.
We've been hosting for well over a decade, welcomed tens of thousands of guests, and earned thousands of 5-star reviews.
Our portfolio continues to bring in over 1.5 million year over year, and supported not only by the industry's leading brands, but also some of the biggest media outlets.
And we're here to help you with your furnished rental.
In today's video, we're gonna go over exactly what the CPR is. You know it's cost per reservation, but we'll go over what that means, how to calculate it, and why skipping this step could cost you money. So let's get to it.
Let's start with the definition of CPR, the cost per reservation. So it's exactly what it is. It is what is the total cost of hosting a reservation at your property. And it's comprised of two numbers. You're gonna get that number by having your booking expenses.
Think consumables.
Yeah. So you have booking expenses, and those are the costs per stay. All right. So for a stay, you are going to stock the home with beautiful sheets, a well-made bed, a fully stocked bathroom and kitchen. So every stay, there's going to be this expense involved in supplying it to the guest. And then also there are business expenses. And these business expenses are fixed. Whether you are hosting one reservation or 10 because you've committed to buying the home, and therefore there are expenses that go into paying for the home all year long. Those are fixed business expenses. So we want to understand our booking expenses per stay and our business expenses for just owning the home in general.
What makes this exercise so powerful, okay? If you take nothing else away from this video, I want you to get into the exercise, and we're going to show you in a little bit here what we do in our business, of going through everything we stock the home with, down to, okay, if we've got 2 king beds and 2 queen beds and a twin, how much time that takes us to wash it, how many loads it takes, because we do pay for the water. We pay for someone to wash that, whether you're doing it now yourself, but your time has value associated with it. Right, to, hey, I decide to put in, I'm just making these things up right now, 3 rolls of toilet paper per stay per bathroom, all right? And I have put in there, I make sure that the shampoo is always full per stay. Now, don't get lost in the sauce here as we continue on in this video, because here's what I know. When the guest checks out, sometimes they don't use all the toilet paper. Sometimes they're not gonna use most of the time, not all the shampoo in this. So go with me here in terms of just the exercise of estimating as well as you can, averages of what it costs you to reset the home and to host a human being.
And this, because this is the power. There's power in understanding your numbers, and we're going to go through some spreadsheets with you, but also you can do this with pencil and paper, a spreadsheet, but understanding what it takes to run your property is truly invaluable.
Now, we have this spreadsheet that Annette and I have honed in over the years. If you want to do something similar and you don't want to, you'll see there's some formulas in there where we're taking a package of toilet paper and breaking it down per toilet paper roll. You can just get general, okay? I don't want that to stop you from trying this exercise yourself at home. If you want our spreadsheet, we do share that with the members of our hosting business mastery. So in fairness to them and their investment with us and our coaching, they get access to the spreadsheet, but that does not mean that if you don't decide to join us in our mastery that you can't try this exercise for yourself at home as well. The whole point of this is, if I can host a guest and I leave them, 2 fluffy robes and these paper towels and toilet paper and all this stuff, and then I have these fixed expenses, and I find out how much it costs to host a one-night stay, and then I'm looking at what the market is willing to pay, and there's some misalignment there, I might have to remove some amenities to reduce the cost it takes me to run my property, or I might see, right, but my competitor has this one amenity that I don't have. I need to get up to where they're earning. So I need to add that amenity. Can I get there then? This just really helps you understand the operations of your business, what you're supplying your guests, and whether that matches the market with your pricing. Also, it helps with this. When a guest stays for one night, you know how much it's going to cost you to be able to host them. Now, what if a guest says, hey, I see on Airbnb that for 5 nights for me to stay, it's, making things up, $1,000. Could I come and stay for 5 nights for $800? And sometimes hosts are like, I don't know, but I really want a 5-night stay. But what if you did this math and the cost to run your property for a 5-night stay is approximately $850? Like, if you offer it for anything less than that, you're actually losing money to just run the place. There's other things to consider, like if you had a full-time employee, like you can get real complicated here, but really just for ease of it, this helps hosts understand where they can negotiate with guests in different seasons, whether high season or low season, right? Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so let's get into it a little bit further.
All right, let's get down to the more granular,
It's a hard word.
booking expenses and business expenses. Sarah is going to walk you through. We're going to go slow here. We are going to go line by line and take you through from the home consumables to the linen supplies, to the Terry supplies, to your taxes, your guest services booking expenses, business expenses, your fixed home business expenses. And then we're going to, at the very end, we'll show you that cost per reservation amount.
All right, so this is a spreadsheet that we built out for our mastery members, but if you're not a part of the mastery, you should be. And if you're not, though, you can create a spreadsheet similar to this on your own. And again, you don't have to get as spreadsheety as we do. Really, like I say to our members, that might feel like they've got a lot going on and like what's the one thing I should do? It's really list out all your expenses like we're going to do here and just understand how much you're spending on your property, whether you do it at an annual level or like we're doing here at a stay level.
And hey, if you look at these and you're like a little overwhelmed, swipe our cost per package. Some of these numbers that we have here, they are national averages when we get into like cost of bedding, laundering the bedding. So feel free to just swipe some of these numbers if you don't have the totals for yourself or you're like planning your next short-term rental or first short-term rental.
Yeah. Okay. So here are the home consumable booking expenses like we talked about and examples of stocked items over here at this 123 Main Street, USA, a toilet paper. So, you can get a package of 16 rolls of toilet paper and that cost me $28 to purchase. And so that it means it's $1.75 per roll of toilet paper. I put 3 in this unit. There's 1 bathroom. So if I put 3 in that unit, 3 times 175 is $5.25 per stay. Now, again, like we said, the guests might not use all 3 rolls. I get that. This is like a general idea here. Paper towels. Again, I buy a 5-pack. It costs me this much money. This is how much it is per paper towel. I stock 2. So there's my cost per stay for paper towels. Same with sponges. I get a lot on Amazon. Here's what it comes down to per stay. Trash bags. I buy them at, 48. We leave 12 per unit or per stay. That's how much our trash bags cost us, right? So really just go through and honestly, you could walk through your property and just make a list of like, oh, a guest would consume that during their stay. A guest would consume that during their stay. And I leave about this many, like truly like for our dish pods, we have this little container and I just throw a little handful in there. So most of the times it's 4, but it might be 5 one time, 6 another time. But so I want to give you permission to be a little flexible here so you don't get, what is that called? Like you don't get
analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Or like trying to be so perfect. Like that's what
I was going to get
see
at, perfectionism.
When people see this, they'll make excuses of not knowing all these numbers. So we don't want you making excuses here. We just want you to fill something in because again, each stay is going to be a little bit different. And hopefully we're on the high end of these estimates anyways. So you're going to be winning, in the end with the profit. So we'll walk through really quick. So shampoo, conditioner, body wash, hand soap, batteries, light bulbs, maybe you leave flowers, maybe you leave wine, maybe you leave chocolates. This is where you can fill in those gifts for your guest.
I do want to show you what I did here. So I buy like a refillable thing of like a big thing of shampoo, and then I refill like a smaller container. So again, like I'm not in here like with a measuring stick or anything like that. But so I would say like 0.2 of that little of the shampoo,
a quarter of it, right?
Yeah, I would refill each time. So again, I just want to get an approximate of how much I refill, how much I put per stay into that shampoo bottle. So that's why I have these like these little amounts here. Like I might, I buy an 8-pack of battery, but I leave, how many batteries per guest. So like that's where I'm getting at here. Like just get an estimate as close as you can. Now the linen supply booking expenses. So we have 1 king bed and 1 queen bed. And our calculator, like Annette said, takes into account that a king bed has a fitted, a flat, a duvet, pillowcases. Like we've done that, the cost of the bedding in here. We also, here's our pillowcases here. And we also have like the towels. So how many bath towels do I put per stay? How many hand towels do I put per stay? How many washcloths? Maybe you put a whole bunch of washcloths out in a big basket and the guest can kind of just take it. So you wash all them for every stay. So put that amount of washcloths on your spreadsheet and just get an idea of how much it costs to launder your linens and your bedding and your bedding supply. Okay. And so you're going to get an idea of how much it costs you to, so here we have the averages for those that are using laundry service or taking to a laundry center. So we have this average built in. You can call a laundry center yourself in your area and see how much it would cost for this amount of weight. Usually they do it by weight. To get your cost. Maybe you do it at home. And so you can kind of just like time it and look at your water bill. Like you can get these things figured out.
And this is something like the laundry is where we see hosts. If you've ever done the laundry of your property, it is time consuming.
Yes.
It is use of so there's time, there's water, there's these things. And then obviously you might lose a sheet or towel here and there. So we've baked all of that in.
Yep. All right, so now we have taxes. We also have OTA fees here. So whatever you're paying the OTA, maybe whatever paying in your city, your county, any sort of tax that you have to pay because you are a short-term rental, and that's per stay. And then this is the section that I think a lot of you probably leave out. And these are guest service expenses. So if you are like a lot of the people who consume our content, you're running the show yourself, put a value on how much you would pay someone else to do this so that if you ever wanted some time off or you plan on scaling and you want to put someone in your shoes, how much would it cost someone to do these activities, like average time spent communicating with the guest from booking to check-in in hours, average time coordinating schedules for the cleaners per reservation in hours, average time to wash the laundry in-house for each property turnover in hours. We have the hourly rate you would work for anyone else. Yes, we mean this, and not just a settle rate. Like your time is valuable. So maybe it's $20 an hour in your area. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. And then that cleaning fee that you've set for your rental as well, you're going to bake that into the guest service booking expense section of your own spreadsheet here.
Now we're going to dig into, so all of those were kind of when we were talking about, those are per stay expenses. Yeah. Now we're going to dig into our business expenses. And these are, again, the fixed home business expenses and some other business expenses, whether you are having a lot of guests in a month or whether you're not hosting any guest in that month. So let's go through the business expenses. Take it away, Sarah.
Yeah, so just some examples here. And we leave room for our members if there are any other business expenses they want to add. That's why we have all this space. But for example, accounting, maybe you pay a bookkeeper to help you keep your books straight. Maybe you pay a marketing fee for this rental. I actually didn't put anything here. Why? Because I know a lot of you are really just on Airbnb and you pay that host fee. And so that's kind of like your marketing fee, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So the interest on that you pay for your property, for your mortgage, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what this fee is here. Point Central is our smart lock automation software. And then we manage this property ourselves. So there's no property management fees here, right? So you might be similar, or maybe you pay a co-host here, or maybe you do pay a property manager and you're just wondering, you can still do this exercise. if you're paying someone else to run the whole thing for you.
Yeah, and these fixed home business expenses, again, like we were breaking down, you'll see we broke down property taxes, interest, insurance. If you don't have it broken down, that's fine. Put it all in your mortgage payment. So here are the fixed home business expenses.
Well, real quick. So these are the monthly amounts, right? So if you get some of these fees, you know, a yearly, like we said earlier, break them down into per day, per month, so that you can figure out, and this will total out for you what that equals out, right? So on an annual basis. Here's the fixed home business expenses. So here's where we broke down. So our mortgage, it looks like it's low, but that's because I have our property taxes here, our insurance here, and our interest here, right? So if you add all that up, that's what, you know, you pay your mortgage. We've got Netflix, we've got what we pay for internet. Maybe you have a security system,
HOA fees, pool tub, hot tub maintenance, yard care, garbage.
And that's our yard care. So that's included in the time up here for the time we spend on property. How much you spend on water, electricity, gas, right? And so that's the monthly cost for these things. So for example, we get charged our waterly bills every quarter. So I had to break it down. I had to break it down then per month so that I could figure out what it is on an annual basis, right? So we can get this number here. All right. So we hope this spreadsheet, honestly, this in itself is just lovely to look at, just to know how much you're actually, it's easy to go to Costco or to Target and pick your favorite stuff. But when you actually look at how much you're spending and what it adds up to, especially this per stay stuff, you're like, you know, I could still give them a great quality shampoo, but maybe I can find a better deal somewhere else. So even just this exercise, I find, is really helpful when we're staring.
How much work and how much, like, not just the time, but actual, the things that go into your space to make it a short-term rental.
Right.
Annette and I get asked about the apps we use to run our Airbnb business all the time. What to use, what we recommend, where to start. And the first question we always ask is, do you have a dynamic pricing software yet?
And if the answer is no, we want you to stop everything right now and get this figured out first. PriceLabs is the foundation of our revenue strategy. So if you are only going to invest in one piece of tech, this is it. Why, you might ask? Because it can actually make you more money. Dynamic pricing software ensures that you are earning the most on every booking while staying competitive in your market.
We use PriceLabs personally in our business, and we couldn't run our business without it. So click the link in the show notes and start your free 30-day trial today and see how PriceLabs can transform your revenue.
So what you're gonna do here, before we get into our calculator, just for basics, you're gonna take your annual expenses, simple, divided by 365. That's what you get your business expense per day. If it's something's monthly, you're gonna divide it by 30. That will get your per day business expense there. And so here it is. You wanna write this down. You're gonna take your booking expenses per stay, then you're gonna add your business expenses per day, and then times that by the length of the reservation. And we're gonna take you now back into the calculator so you can see that math done.
All right. So now that we've done all that work on the back end, we've listed out how much we spend on consumables, how much we spend to just have the property, whether someone stays or not, all that stuff. Now we can look at break down the cost per reservation.
And we're going to be honest with you, we do have some spreadsheet magic working in the background. That's why this is part of our membership. But again, you can still work all this out. We did the math for you of, dividing by the 365, dividing by the 30, taking it by the amount of the actual days of the stay. But here is how we're getting that cost per reservation or one nightly stay. So essentially we've taken, all of those cells that we filled in on the last spreadsheet. So let's review them again. Our home consumable, our linen and towel expenses, our laundry expenses, cleaning expense, that's obviously per stay. We have to have it cleaned every single time. Home consumables, your time, your business expenses, and your fixed home expenses. And you can kind of even see there how we've lined it out per stay, per stay, per stay, per stay. So that's how you want to get that mindset. And then the business expenses are per day per day.
Yeah.
So you can do this math on your own. You don't need a spreadsheet doing the calculations for you.
All it's doing is taking this tab down here and bringing that information over to our calculator tab. But the cool thing is once you figure this out, you've got, let's say you have one booking. So one guest is booking one reservation and they're staying one night. So that total cost per reservation is $148.52, bringing our nightly, because it's one night, one booking, to $148.52. Okay. So let's say, for example, I actually don't even know what the math is going to be. So I'm flying on the seat of my pants here. We have listed on Airbnb that a 3-night stay is, I don't know, $550 for this property. Okay. They reach out to you and they're like, hey, I really want to stay for this 3-night stay. It's saying it's $550. Is that what I said before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could you do it for $500? That's my budget. I really love your place. I mean, how many of you have gotten that question?
Right.
All the time. So you can go into your little calculator. You can do this quick math once you have all that work done over there, and you can say, okay, how many nights stay did I say?
You said 3.
3-night stay. All right. So they want to stay for $500 instead of the $550 I have posted? Well, my cost to host them for a 3-night stay is about $264.52 total. If I were to divide this number by the 3 nights, it did bring down. Remember, it was $144 before, right? 144.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's $88.17 per night. So obviously that economies of scale, that they stay longer, the cost of hosting them reduces. I don't know about you, but like if I'm in my slow season, I have someone on the hook who wants to pay $500 instead of $550. I'm still going to make money on that stay. It's still going to make sense for me. So that's a yes for me, right?
Absolutely. And the reason we also want you to do this is I have gotten in situations before when I didn't have this calculator and I was just opening a property and I got really excited and someone wanted to stay for an extended stay. And I said yes. And once I actually did the math because they were in there for a month and I had time to do the math, I was paying for their stay. Okay, so it really is so important to understand this because you need to know what that limit is for yourself. Because let's say you have that guest again wanting to negotiate with you, but you would actually potentially lose money on the stay. That's where you have to go, wait a second. I'd rather just let it sit vacant than not have to.
Because there's liability,
right? There's different liability.
Stays,
but
right?
this is just going to give you so much clarity in your business. It's going to also help you when it's time to hopefully hire someone to help you. You'll see what you really have because you've been baked. Because we see a lot of times hosts are not taking into account the time for everyone, the time for the cleaning, their time for messaging their guests, their time for laundry. All of those things stack up, and we want to make sure that your daily rate is compensating the business.
So many people are like, well, if my mortgage is $1,500 and this 30-day stay is paying, $18, that's $300 cash flow. No. There's so many other expenses that, especially if you leave someone soaps and shampoos and you have to talk to them during their stay. All those things, you really should adding value to them. Now, your goals could be different, right? Like maybe you're subsidizing this property because it's your vacation. And so you're actually okay with them just fine. We get that. But still understanding what a cost per reservation is and being okay with the fact that they're just paying a little bit of what it costs to actually own the home and have the home. At least you know that your goals are being met. You feel good about it. You know your numbers and you can move on with confidence.
Yeah, this is this knowledge is power. Or let's say you're wanting to add an amenity to your home,
right?
Whether maybe it's a consumable amenity, maybe it's a non-consumable amenity, and you're trying to see okay, well, can I increase my nightly rate if I add these amenities? This is where it gets really fun. We want the math, we want the spreadsheet, we want this to actually be the fun part of the business for you.
And remember, the market dictates what the guest will pay. But you can make strategic decisions on what you offer and see if there's alignment there, right? We're not just shooting from the hip, hoping there's alignment. You truly know, I'll add this amenity. I should be able to charge this. Oh, let me look at this competitor. Yes, they're getting this amount for it. Ooh, my mortgage isn't as high as theirs probably is, or I'm saving a lot of money on because I'm buying bulk shampoo and conditioners. And so this all works out. That's the power of just doing this exercise. And you do it once per property, and you really don't have to do it. Maybe check in on it, like if you add amenities over time and you forget to add it to your spreadsheet.
I would do it every year, like taking into
Yeah.
account what happened with the property taxes, what's just
Right.
going on in general. Did some of your prices increase? Because they do. So just normal inflation, checking in with it.
All right, so we do share this spreadsheet with our members of HBM, Hosting Business Mastery, and they've invested in coaching with Annette and myself and our private community, and so they get this spreadsheet that we've already made. If you're interested in getting this spreadsheet, if you're interested in joining our mastery, we open up enrollment into our mastery at certain points in the year. So we always have this website up, thanksforvisiting.com/bootcamp. Depending on when you go to it, it'll either be a wait list for our next opportunity, or if you're lucky enough, you can sign up for our next bootcamp, which leads into us sharing the opportunity to join Hosting Business Mastery. We would love to have so many of you. We welcomed so many of you who found us on YouTube into our mastery, and we love working with you in our group coaching and in our private community. So again, thanksforvisiting.com/bootcamp. And you can get your hands on the spreadsheet as well. And let's move on to common pushback we get from our members.
Yeah.
You might be pushing back right now as well. I'm sure these comments are going to be super fun to go through of you maybe making the spreadsheet better, which I will tell you, with time, we've had this spreadsheet for over 5 years now, 6 years maybe. And our members continue to help us make it better, more accurate. Maybe they bring in their own special sauce to making it work for them, and we are here for it.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room, if you will. CapEx, go ahead, you need to add that on. And some people, it depends on your risk level, it depends on the age of the home, all of those things. So again, that is something. Feel free, add that in, put the percentage that feels right for you and what you have forecasted out.
What about, I bought shampoo for $12 and then the price shot up to $16. You can go back in the spreadsheet and adjust it if you want to. But like we've said before, do not get lost in perfectionism or in being too specific. The real idea here is for you just to understand essentially-ish, maybe be conservative of what it costs you to run your property per stay.
And what we find so much of value here too in this spreadsheet is we find hosts are undervaluing their property. So therefore, they are under earning, and they're not even competitive in the market.
No.
So when you actually get these numbers dialed in, you see your investment in the property, therefore what a guest would need to invest to stay with you. It brings so much clarity because we find there's almost this mindset. It's a difficult thing sometimes for hosts when we're so used to welcoming guests to our homes for free. So when you make that transition into overnight paying guests, that sometimes it's just hosts going on this feeling like they feel like this is the value or they feel like this is what the market would pay. And when you back it with the data, not the drama, and you have facts over feelings, it is so much clarity. And then when you group it in with a dynamic pricing software, it's
and remember,
everything's making sense.
The cost per reservation is your bare minimum price. This is not what you're going to have the guest pay. It is this is what it is to have the lights on, to have that shampoo there, to have everything there. It's about this cost. And so you want to make sure that your pricing, once you research the market, again, there's alignment in terms of there's a margin there for you, because that's what you're after is that margin. Most of us, I don't want to say all of us, but most of us are after that margin. So those are the most common pushback we get from our members. But once they dive in and dig in, they're like, wow, this is eye-opening. This is so great. We've got co-hosts in there who share this with their clients, understand hey, this is what it costs to just have your lights on. You need to understand that this is what the market is willing to pay. Here's realistically what we think, your property will earn. So that's the power of just understanding what you put in your property, how much it costs, and that final number. Here at Thanks for Visiting that we care very deeply about making sure that you are charging the guest at least fair market value. So obviously the market dictates pricing, and how the traveler is traveling dictates how many night stays that you should allow at your property, right? You can try to make the market do what you want it to do, but the market's going to do what the market wants to do. Another component of this is understanding your cost per reservation, meaning what it costs to keep the lights on.
Literally.
What it costs to have your mortgage and your HOA, and offering your guests those 3 rolls of toilet paper, and laundering the 2 fluffy white robes you leave them, and washing the towels and the blankets each day. Having all of that information and knowing, depending on how long the guest stays, what that cost looks like for you. Now, you're not going to get the exact number, but our calculation, which we're going to get to later in this video, gets you pretty darn close to knowing, okay, what I've set up in my short-term rental, the experience I want my guests to have, depending on how many nights they stay, how does that compare to what the market will pay for my place? You better hope that there's a margin there, because if there is not, you're losing money. Here's where this really helps you. Is let's say you understand your pricing, per night for a 1-night stay, but then a guest asks you, hey, I want to stay for 5 nights. I see this is what this price is spitting out on Airbnb, but I want to know, could you do it for this amount? Knowing your cost per reservation will help you understand whether or not that guest is getting way too good of a deal, or if you're able to have some wiggle room there to negotiate with them. So we're excited to dive into this number with you.
So don't delay, calculate your CPR today, and we want to know, let us know in the comments, did you already know the number? Are you surprised by this number? We want to do the math with you. This is the fun part, and it's work. It's all work, and this is the biggest thing we think that this spreadsheet enlightens, is not only the numbers, but how much work is involved in each and every stay.
Yes, we also do have, we can't give you the spreadsheet that we showed you in the video. We do have a little worksheet called Know Your Numbers. We did put that in the show notes, so you can check that out. And if you want to then take it a step further, now that you know your CPR and you want to start understanding dynamic pricing, we've got a video all about dynamic pricing for beginners. Check it out. With that, I am Sarah Karakayan.
I'm Annette Grant, and together we are
Thanks for visiting.